Somebody says education is going to be obsolete, nobody need any degree at all, right? So what is your take on that?
A lot of people, what they're thinking is future, they're not realizing it's already present. Skills over degree is the mantra in education across the world, right? Is to tell students and parents that do not focus so much on the degree anymore. Focus should be on
Should an engineer know behavioral science or public policy if I were to integrate interdisciplines?
every engineer has to have a multidisciplinary approach from now on. These days, people who are commerce students, but they are learning Tableau, they're going to become data analysts as opposed to a tech guy. People who are in medical side, they're learning something, they're trying to get it to some point.
And if we talk about institutions like Ashoka, Plaksha, and upskilling platforms like Scalar, these are all booming, right? So are they really solving problems, or do you think they're creating silos?
I think at this point of time, you can say they're still silos. But the future would be they will themselves are together. Biggest concern today is people when the society recognizes a degree, there's a too much value on the degree, but the focus on, like I said. So future is bright if parents and students can see beyond a degree and talk about these so-called silos that we're talking about today as a complete solution. It will make a huge difference.
If you were to redesign Bachelor of Technology course, right? So what would be the top 3 subjects that you would like to include which are completely missing today?
I'll go and do a systems design very early into engineering. People have to learn the importance of prompt engineering. Right?
Why do you think engineering grads lack employable skills despite this 4 years of rigorous coursework? Who is failing? Like, is it students, institutions, or industry?
No, I think these kind of problems are never usually one player problem. It's a multi-player problem. We have tried making everyone have a degree.
Artificial intelligence is everywhere. So is AI a threat or a tool in the hands of future engineers? Should we teach prompt engineering and ethics before coding?
Ever avoid technology. You can only use technology, right? It's definitely a tool. We have to use AI to be more productive, more efficient, teaching prompt engineering to younger ones. We should definitely teach prompt engineering as early as possible. Use AI as much as you can. But the rule number 1, basic rule is don't use AI for anything you cannot do it yourself.
So these days we are seeing a new trend. People are opting out of engineering college, dropping and going for certifications. Do you think this is a right shift?
I think that's going to intensify. I think the moment big companies start hiring people without actually a degree but with a good skill stack, I think things will change.
So folks, we are joined by Naresh Dubbudu, a repeat guest on our platform. And in fact, he is my school friend and one of those early speakers on the platforms who has believed in TGV's vision. And fast forward, we have come 5 years far, and today we are sitting in his own studio. And in fact, we have hosted him on episode number 3. So I hope you still remember that conversation, Naresh. And just to give you a brief intro about Naresh, he is an award-winning educator, strategist, and founder of Abhyas Edu Technologies. He's a gold medalist from NIT Warangal, National Institute of Technology, and an IIM Bangalore alumnus. He has empowered tens of thousands of learners through ventures like Ganville Academy and EdMark. He's a master teacher on a mission to shape the future of education through strategy, storytelling, and scalable impact. So today we are going to have an interesting conversation. Before that, let's hear from the horse's mouth. So Naresh, why should somebody tune into our conversation today?
I think people should tune into our conversation today because we are actually challenging the very core of engineering education. Conventional engineering education is dead. I think it has to be reimagined, it has to be redrafted, it has to be redone.
Yeah.
And all the students, parents, teachers, and even policymakers who are thinking what should engineering be doing in the next decade or so, I think they better tune into this podcast because we're going to discuss that in detail.
Amazing. So that brings us to the topic. B.Tech is broken, reinventing engineering for the future workforce. But before we get started, the format has changed, Naresh. We have introduced rapid fire rounds. And let's get into the first rapid fire round, which is about
So you have multiple rapid fire.
There are 2 rapid fire rounds. So the thing is, I'm going to mention a few words which come to my mind. And as and when you hear that, you need to respond briefly, crisply, All right. So if you're ready, let's get started. Curiosity.
Curiosity is a fuel for learning.
Awesome. And then invention.
Invention is imagination which is driven into reality.
Awesome. Future.
Future is what we make through present effort.
And next one is our favorite word, education.
Education. I think education is, I believe, the light that dispels disinformation. Education is what I believe. Education is all about learning that takes away our biases, our wrong beliefs.
Career.
Career, I believe, is a canvas, not a ladder, as a lot of people believe. Career is that canvas that is not done till the last day. It's a canvas that people will only see after we pass away. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love the perspective because normally people think career is a ladder. And that too, it is a vertical ladder. But yeah, I think you have broken that particular myth. Amazing. Life.
Life, yeah, for lack of better words, I say life is a game where we are trying to, the final goal of the game is to achieve what is the purpose. Right? Life is a game where we are all driving to what is the purpose. That's what I believe it.
Universe.
Universe is the ground in which we play the game called life.
Super. Leadership.
Leadership, I believe, is a responsibility to create vision and to craft vision.
Success.
Success, I believe, is impact more than accolades. Success, I believe, is the level of impact, the amount of impact we create. Yeah, awards, accolades come in, but more about impact.
Those are the byproducts.
Yes.
Amazing. And here comes the last word, aliens.
Aliens, I believe, in this game, the unknown for me is aliens. Mysterious, yeah, mystery.
Awesome. So I love the energy and I love all the responses. And let us stay tuned for the second rapid fire round. Before that, let me welcome.
I think you need to give me a second hamper.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get one. And welcome back to TGV. How are you doing today?
Today I'm good. I'm meeting my school friend after a long time. And I'm happy, Naveen, you said I've done the third episode. I know it's one of the earlier episodes. And when I met you today, I understand that you've done more than 600. I'm very happy, Naveen. TGV and you have grown 200x. And I'm very happy to be here again. So, and it's very exciting. Today is a great day.
Thank you for trusting in my vision, actually. It means a lot. And I always tell to my friends and all saying that, okay, first few people like Harsha, yourself, Vikram Yedavelli, right? All the first 10 episodes, those are always most cherished and most memorable. So thank you once again. And I would really, really appreciate you for joining in those early days and also joining today as well. So let's get started. So talk to us about your guiding voice.
I think my guiding voice, I believe, has been my father. We all come from middle class and he has been the first graduate in his family. He has been the first employee from his family. I think the work ethic and the values that he carried, I think has shaped me and my brother. Right? For us, it is all about that. Later, I think I definitely added the layers of problem solving, strategic thinking and all this from my NIT Warangal and IIMs. There are professors that I love a lot, cherish a lot. In fact, one professor from NIT Warangal, Professor Bangalore, is someone I kind of look up to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the last 15 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I would say my brother himself is a guiding voice too, because it's about each other. For me, he is a guiding voice, and for him, I do the same. So that's what I would say. There are a lot of guiding voices. I believe a lot of times it's not a single voice, but multiple voices at various parts of time.
Yeah, I think we need to bring in Rakesh as well for this conversation. Maybe I'll interview him, okay, in the future.
Yes,
for sure. And Naresh, talk to us about your success mantra, as in top 3 things that have contributed to your success and growth so far.
I think one definitely is clarity of purpose, because from the beginning, me, for lack of better word, my brother was more the talented kind. I was more the studious kind.
Equally talented.
Yeah. No, I think I had this thing called, I always had a clarity in what I want to accomplish. See, I think my clarity of purpose is what has driven me. Sometimes that finally might not end in the way we want, but I've always had a plan. I always worked with clarity. That's the first mantra of my success. Second thing has been consistency. All through my life, I have had great highs, but those great highs are seen by everyone. But I know I've kind of showed up on the worst of the days also with the same energy. I think that's the second thing, consistency, I would say. And the third thing that I'm probably good at, and a lot of people around me say, I'm a people, my communication is always people first. So as a leader, as a CEO, a lot of times what happens is I focus on systems, I focus on the company, but I ensure that my communication is people first. While like systems and values do come, but I ensure that I speak with a voice, I communicate in such a way that people come first. I think that made me different from many other people I've seen. There are three things.
Amazing. And you are a serial entrepreneur, and people always look at the rosy picture once you're successful and all, right? But talk to us about the toughest lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur.
I think if you ask me the first thing, I would say vision without cash is futile. This is something that we all connect to. I say this not as a joke, Naveen, but what I believe is for someone who has great vision, great ideas like us, a lot of times cash matters. We were probably many of us, many of the current generation also. They are when they are growing, they come up with the thing that cash is bad or money is bad, etc. I think first we need to dispel that notion. I think vision has to have cash in it. It could be about funding, it could be about scale. If you want to really create impact, what I've learned myself is, because I've burnt my hands in the beginning, what I felt is, hey, if there's right funding in place, I think we can do better things. That's first learn. Second thing, that toughest lesson I would say is probably you need to, people will come and go, but values should not.
Yeah.
What I felt is people will come and go, but I have learned something from everyone that has come into my entrepreneurial journey. Sometimes they teach good things, sometimes they things that we should not be doing. But I think people come and go. Those are things that I probably have learned a lot. And finally, the last thing that I felt is, which is in a way opposite to what I said in the beginning, money thing. I felt the daily kick, if we really have to enjoy what we're doing, the chase cannot be about money. It has to be the daily satisfaction. Today, when I'm sitting in this interview with you, today is a day where some results are coming. I think where a particular story is rewritten. Sometimes it's a student, sometimes it's an employee. I think that makes the day going. You cannot really. These are the three things I would say when my toughest how kind of this thing. Yeah, the learnings I had.
Amazing. So these learnings will stay with us, right? And most importantly, what you said is people come and go. I think we have to live with that. And there is no thing in terms of really delving deep into it and worrying about it. Amazing. I think this is a great learning. How do you see the traditional B.Tech degree, means Bachelor of Technology, evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? And one thing I'm really curious is, are we headed toward skill-based micro credentialing replacing full degrees? Because people are talking about nano degrees, and somebody says education is going to be obsolete. Nobody need any degree at all, right? So what is your take on that?
I think the direction you have already mentioned is very much already there. A lot of people, what they're thinking is future, they're not realizing it's already present.
Yeah.
Right, in the childhood we would have learned the three fish story, right?
Yeah.
The thing that where someone realizes. I think a lot of people who are still thinking something is future, they're wrong. It's already there. I don't know if it's micro or nano, but you're right, Naveen. I think skills over degree is the mantra in education across the world right now. I'm myself like big, you can say torchbearer, evangelist, for a lack of better word, towards, I believe skills over degree is what is going to be a big mantra for the coming decade. I think even as an employer, I would always want to employ someone who has a skills over a degree. Just to give an example, tomorrow I'm going to hire someone for a particular counselor role in my organization. It's a very important role.
Right.
My HR came to me and said, I have 50 plus applicants just because of one post. LinkedIn caps that thing, free post, and after that and stuff. She was like, should I kind of make it a paid post? Should I want? No, I said, I'm fine. Because she was worried people do not have a specific degree towards it. I said, I don't care.
Right.
Let them come. If I have the right skill, I'll take. So I think that is going to be the norm everywhere in the future. So micro credentials, micro skilling, and people can learn from various different places. I think that's going to be the future. And that's why like I said, this podcast that we're doing is to tell students and parents that do not focus so much on the degree anymore. Focus should be on what kind of skill sets, what kind of credentials you can pick up, what kind of stack that you're building. In fact, not just micro skill set, but stack of skills. What will matter is a lot of people make the mistake of like taking one certification, one course. That's a classical mistake of someone who's trying to add a layer. But to understand there's a difference between a tool and a toolkit, right? You want to be good at toolkit, not just be a tool, right? So today, if someone wants to really be good at one area, try to kind of assemble an entire toolkit. So what I mean is a complete tech stack, not one tech. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's very good if you can get into skills, if you get into micro skills, but please ensure that it's an entire stack, not just one tech.
Right.
That's what I would want.
No, that's a great advice. And let's talk about your venture, this Factly, right? It helps people make sense of data. And do you think future engineers need to be trained more as data storytellers, because storytelling is everywhere and people make a lot out of insightful data, right? So
Now, I think in a way, we Indians have been great at STEM education even before the world discovered STEM, isn't it? Our generation has been lucky because we enjoyed the IT boom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But do understand, we were good at STEM, but we were not good at storytelling, right? And that's exactly why even today, America and US leads with respect to innovation, product development, and stuff like that. And I think storytelling is pretty important. In fact, if you ask me, it is so important as much as a tech stack itself, because that's when you can probably take your product to larger places. In fact, yesterday, I was discussing this thing. I mean, every now and then I keep asking a question. India is great at tech. India has great service companies. We have the biggest IT services companies in the world. But what about a product company? Why don't we have a great product company that we can be proud of? Why not one Google, one any one of them, right? There's something that I have been observing. What I feel, Naveen, is there's a huge difference between aspiring to be a global product versus aspiring to be an Indian product.
right.
I think the classical mistake Indian entrepreneurs are making is we are trying to make a product for India. Say we want to make something, we want to make a Google, we want to make an Indian Google. We want to make that's exactly, we want to make a Twitter, we tried making an Indian Twitter. All of them failed. The reason being, Indian audience, we are trying to make it Indian. You and me, Naveen, we would not want to kind of go something. We want to have a global standard. Indians are actually capable. We can actually aspire to become a global standard company. In fact, AI, LLM, I was very excited about Sarvam AI, that is connection with Triple IT and stuff like that. I'm unhappy the downloads and stuff like that. We did not even get DeepSeek, leave OpenAI and Gemini and stuff, but not even DeepSeek. That reason being, we are not China, we are not Korea, where they have that regional. We want to do that. For us, we need to kind of say, hey, an Indian product company has to kind of talk to the entire world. And the good thing is, Europeans, Americans will accept an Indian product as opposed to these other products. But we should first target being a global product. People in Silicon Valley are actually looking for any release from here. And I would say to some extent, companies like Joho, Freshdesk, etc., have done some level of work. But next, with AI, I hope we do that. That's why I would say storytelling is very important.
Yeah, I think it is the need of the hour. Like, we are 147 crore people, but we do not have notable products, okay, which are serving the world, right? So I think those of you who are watching this episode, I think you need to really think deep and think about launching a product which is going to serve the whole world, right? So it's not now or never, right? Somebody has to take that particular leap of faith, assumption, and move forward. Naresh, let's talk about interdisciplinary skills. In terms of today, if you look at MBA, there is a major degree and minor degree. Even in the engineering world also, you're coming across those kind of interdisciplinary integration that is happening, right? So should an engineer, right, in case if you want to talk about an engineer, should an engineer know behavioral science or public policy if I were to integrate interdisciplines?
I think very much every engineer has to have a multidisciplinary approach from now on. I think last couple of decades, it was very much tech stack, that was enough. But going forward, I think every tech guy actually should kind of look at a discipline that's beyond the technology. These days, people who are commerce students, but they are learning Tableau, they're going to become data analysts as opposed to a tech guy.
Yeah.
People who are in medical side, they're learning something, they're trying to get into some bioinformatics and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to say is, people who are trying to get into tech stack, they should kind of focus on adding a multi-discipline, which is very much, like I said, behavioral science should be the first thing, systems development.
Yeah.
A lot of things can come in, I think, but they definitely have to do that because that will enable them to understand the application part. The tech stack by itself is not so important, but what is also important is how do I apply it in a particular discipline. I think that makes a lot of difference for the next generation.
Excellent. And if we talk about institutions like Ashoka, Plaksha, and upskilling platforms like Scalar has really rose like anything, and GUI, these are all booming, right? So are they really solving problems, or do you think they're creating silos?
I think at this point of time, you can say they're still silos, but the future would be they will themselves are together, they all have to become a complete problem solution. I think when you spoke about Scalar or GUI, I think leave all this. We even have an open source. Government of India has done a lot of open source skilling solutions.
Yeah.
NPTEL itself is such a gold mine, right? We talk about Coursera, we have a lot of these things. The biggest concern today is people when the society recognizes a degree, there's a too much value on the degree, but the focus on, like I said, skill or a skill set, not tool or toolkit, I think that changes. I have always encouraged students to kind of look at, hey, degree is one thing, but focus on this. Now, whatever we say, Ashoka, Plaksha, these are the new age institutions. They are having to kind of work with a degree, so that degree is what a parent or a student will understand. But they're trying to create this multidisciplinary approach. And the very optimistic thing is, IIMs are going into programs, undergraduate programs with tech angle. IIM Bangalore is doing a DBE program. IIM Kozhikode is doing a BMS program. IITs themselves are launching multidisciplinary programs. I think a lot of these great things are happening. I think so. Future is bright. But I think the biggest change would be if parents and students can see beyond a degree and talk about these so-called silos that we're talking about today as a complete solution. It will make a huge difference.
Okay, so my next one is more on the Bachelor of Technology, right? If you were to redesign Bachelor of Technology course, right? So what would be the top 3 subjects that you would like to include, which are completely missing today?
I think this is one question I expected in the podcast. I cannot say what other, because this was, so I think I did prepare for this. But having said that, what I feel is the first thing I would do is I'll go and do a systems design very early into engineering. Right? When we did engineering, whichever branch we did, we had to get into a lot of basics of mechanical, basics of electrical and stuff. But the first thing we need to do is let's talk about whichever branch, right? Let's focus on systems design, how to design a system, right? The second thing would be people have to learn the importance of like this is prompt engineering, right? A lot of times when they treat AI as a problem or AI as an obstacle, AI as a competitor, they'll not. If they can be made to learn how to make AI your collaborator, that's one thing that I would want to teach them right early into engineering. Only caveat is I don't want them to do anything on AI until and unless they know to do it by themselves. That's exactly, as a leader, that's my principle. My principle to any manager in my company is, hey, you cannot hire a person in your team until and unless you can do it yourself. You do it yourself and then hire someone, because you can give them work. You can always show them that you know what you're talking about. Similarly, we have to teach our kids to do prompt engineering and stuff like that. But before that, they need to, for example, if someone has to use AI to code, right? We have a lot of no-code platforms and low-code platforms and stuff like that. I would want them to understand fundamentals of a particular language, particular tech stack, basics. But once they're there, I think in our generation, people had one tech stack.
Yeah.
But this generation, if they really know how to use AI, they can probably operate on multiple tech stacks at the same time. That's a huge change. Systems, like I said, systems thinking, prompt engineering, and these are the things I would say I would want them to learn. Yeah, and storytelling part that we discussed. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, you interact with a lot of engineering grads, right? So why do you think engineering grads lack employable skills despite this 4 years of rigorous coursework? Who is failing? Like, is it students, institutions, or industry? What needs to be done?
No, I think this kind of problems are never usually one player problem. It's a multiplayer problem. I think all of us have a role to play here. But I would say the first role even comes from the policy making, from the government, from the leaders also. I think we have had a classic degree inflation situation in India in the last decade or two. We have tried making everyone have a degree, right? You know, while that is a very nice goal on the surface of it, it's a very bad thing when you go deep. Now, why you felt it? B.Tech people are unemployable. But first of all, so many B.Techs that are coming out, are there, right? That's a problem. All the people who are entering B.Tech are probably not even aimed at B.Tech, right? We have killed in this journey of trying to degree inflation, people trying to get into B.Tech. We have killed a lot of other avenues. A lot of good talent could have otherwise gone into some other areas. We killed it. We've also killed, for example, diploma education, which is considered, when I was in US also, I've seen diploma education is valued a lot.
Yeah.
Ironically, we have killed diploma education in India. I think now with make in India and manufacturing, I think diploma education needs to come back, right?
Right.
B.Tech now, what will happen is, I think with all this talk that we are just having, future of B.Tech in the next decade will be either people who are going into high end, trying to get into product development and stuff, which is scaling, etc. Or people will get into diplomas where they're actually working with machines, making something, manufacturing. So that is the first thing that I would say. Second thing is institutions. Definitely, institutions are a lot more short-sighted. They're trying to focus on getting either few placements or things like that. Parents, obviously, the kind of context they are in, parents and children, they're looking purely for placements. All these are reasons. Education at the end of the day can never be about job. Education has to be about skills. Job can come later. That change happens. Things will, I hope, with this AI and things that we're doing now, I hope that change will come in the industry, come in the society, come in the people mindset. And we need to democratize. The thing is, in order to democratize education, they made degree inflation. Democratizing education does not mean making everyone have the same degree. It could have been trying to bring skill sets that are useful for everyone. That's what I would say a policymaker. That's why I said in the beginning of the interview, this is a podcast even a policymaker has to watch.
The next one is artificial intelligence is everywhere. Okay, so it's a buzzword, more than a buzzword. So is AI a threat or a tool in the hands of future engineers? And most importantly, we should address this question. Should we teach prompt engineering and ethics before coding?
I think, like we discussed all through the interview, you cannot ever avoid technology. You can only use technology, right? It's definitely a tool. It's not a threat. But how to use it is very important. I vividly remember the day when ChatGPT was, thrown into the world. I was so excited. I did something myself overnight. Next day morning, I got all my senior colleagues at Abhyas together and said, "Hey, this is what I built overnight. Can you believe that? Something that we would have otherwise taken a week, right?" I've tried showing that. So I would believe we have to use AI to be more productive, more efficient, do 10x work. That's the future. But having said that, I think the two things we should keep in mind about teaching AI, teaching prompt engineering to younger ones. We should definitely teach prompt engineering as early as possible with the two conditions. Number one is I always tell people use AI as much as you can. But the rule number one, basic rule is don't use AI for anything you cannot do it yourself. See, if a coder wants to use AI, I want them to kind of have the knowledge of coding themselves first. Right? You can with AI, you can probably, if you have good one tech stack knowledge, with AI you can probably operate 2-3 different tech stacks, but still you should have that. That's one. At our place, for example, what we tell is first year of our coding journey, all the fresh coders in our team, first 6 months to 1 year, we said no AI code at all. We were very serious. But the moment they do it, we kind of say, hey, go use AI unlimited. That's the thing. Same thing I tell students and teachers also. See, if you are something, you can build something. Hey, I can build a PPT well, I can do something creatively, then use AI to do it, it's okay. But you can't do it, there's no use, right? And coming to the second part that you said, ethics. We have to teach ethics in the sense that you do something, you use AI to do something great, but then you have to be able to say that it's AI based. You cannot falsify about it yourself. That's something very, very important. In fact, recent Google I/O, I kind of joined the wait list of. They said, hey, they're trying to create Google DeepMind. One of my friend is working. They said you can identify future will be about just like we're doing fact checking in Factly. I think one interesting vertical I'm thinking in Factly is future will be which of them is AI made, which of them is human made. That's going to come. So I think we have kind of joined there. So what I'm saying is ethically, it's okay to use it, but just say, hey, this is something I've used. That's very important. It's very much like a reference. That's very important. Because without doing that, that's not going to work. If you want to kind of falsify something, it will not work. In fact, students ask me when they go for IIM interviews, etc., can we use AI to build essays? Can we use people go abroad? They want to. I say, using AI to write your essays is the worst thing to do. It's absolutely okay. You write an essay, then use AI to improvise it.
Yeah.
But asking AI to build it from ground up is completely wrong. That's what I say. This is where I would stand on ethics and this part with respect to prompt engineering.
No, absolutely. And people will lack that cognitive ability as well, right? If you are completely relying on it. It actually reminds me of a movie, Idiocracy. I don't know if you have watched that movie, how people will become dumb after getting too much used to this technology and artificial intelligence and all, right? So, in fact, for those of you who haven't watched that movie, I strongly recommend that. It is one of the beautiful movies I've watched in the recent past, and it typically reminds us about how to not too much rely on the technologies as well. Awesome. So, with that, let's move to the next question. So, these days we are seeing a new trend, okay, wherein people are opting out of engineering college, dropping and going for certifications. Do you think this is a right shift?
I think that's going to intensify. I see it intensifying 5x, 10x from here. Till engineering is completely remodeled. Either engineering colleges reinvent themselves. I think top colleges are doing that. Or multidisciplinary courses come. Only then they can do it. And second, the cost of education has gone so up. I'm actually happy when people kind of get into this kind of stuff. People kind of go into micro scaling. Only thing, like I said, is don't get a tool, get a toolkit. Right. Don't get one micro skill, get a suite of skills, a stack of skills. I think that is going to be future. I think the moment Googles of the world, big companies start hiring people without actually a degree but with a good skill stack, I think things will change a lot, and I see that happening. I see that in the next 3 to 4 years, that will happen in a big way. From small to big company, they'll happen.
Let's move to the next one. What advice would you give to 17-year-old who is picking their engineering stream today? Okay, especially in the age where you have multiple options, multiple disciplines that are available, and especially technology is evolving rapidly, right?
No, I think, people, I just wanted to tell them that whichever stream you're in, if someone has a very peculiar interest towards some discipline of engineering, great, continue that. I want to build something, go do civil engineering. I want to kind of develop a machine, I want to develop an automobile, go do mechanical. I think the idea of doing something because I want to get a job is not right. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the first thing that I want to say. Second thing, whichever stream you get into, whichever branch you get into, you still have to learn the fundamentals of AI, because AI is just like when computer science started. People had the feeling that computer science will, the moment Y2K crisis, computer science will go away.
Yeah.
2008 crisis, Lehman crisis, I think AI also is here to stay. AI will become, I think AI for me is as big a disruption and innovation as a internet was in 1990s. That's what I feel. So what will happen is every discipline of engineering and otherwise also, they'll have to integrate AI into it. That's happening already. Right. Now, that's why I would say 17-year-old, if I have to tell myself if I was 17 today, I would say go learn as much as possible the science behind AI, ML and stuff. That's always good to understand. And having some stack will, whichever discipline you get into, whichever kind of field of study you get into, that'll be a great idea. That's what I would say.
Good one. So, Naresh, this has been fabulous conversation so far, and it's time for us to spice up the episode, okay, by kicking off the second rapid fire round.
Okay.
All right. So here comes my first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
I think the theme of the day, right? It's not about degrees, it's all about skills.
Love it. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
I'll say, I think I call someone who doodles with a lot of multi-disciplines, and I do multiple things at a time. So I think I probably, for lack of a better word, I will call myself an all-rounder.
Yeah. Concur with you. And one engineering myth that you would like to bust?
I would want to say CSE is the only thing. I want to kind of break it. In fact, with AI coming in, it makes mechanical, electrical, civil all the more valuable.
Right.
So I think you can do things which otherwise, I think I just wanted to say CSE, the only branch, is a myth that people have. I think that has to be shattered with this.
Absolutely. One worst piece of career advice that you have heard?
Yeah, I think it's about, people who said, do this because you'll get a job. Do this because you'll get a job is the worst ever advice people give. I think people always have to say, do this because you'll either get a skill, do this because you have a passion in it.
Yeah. Imagine you were India's education minister for a day. What would you change instantly?
First thing I'll say, don't give me a day, give me 5 years. But having said that, I'll say the first thing is, I would want to, like I just said, policymakers have, I think first, let market forces prevail in education. What I meant is, you want to bring the cost of education down, bring the value of education up. I think get market forces work, at least in higher education. I'm not saying primary you want to do that, but that's when you'll have a lot of new innovative models come. People can actually do that, because otherwise you'll have the classic affiliation, accreditation and stuff. Things will take a long time. And by the way, whatever government does, all these things will happen eventually by itself, right? So I think that's one thing I would want to do. And the basic idea is to kind of go into applicative, not rote learning. We always want to do that, but that cannot happen until and unless you let new models of education exist.
Good one. And a non-engineering skill every engineer should have?
I think storytelling or very communication, I would say. For lack of better word, I say I've seen a lot of engineers who do great, but they find it difficult to handle an interview, right? I would say if they can actually understand how to express their idea.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. Yeah.
Excellent. A book or course that changed your outlook completely?
In the last few years, I will say, I think my favorite book is The Dip by Seth Godin. Okay, before that it was different, but I think I've learned. We always have learned when we were probably in 20s. We learned Shivkeras and winners don't quit, all that stuff. Yeah. I really loved Seth Godin's book The Dip, because what it said was, you have to quit too. You have to learn to quit too. But when to quit, when not to quit. Quit at the right time. And if you ever have a dip, there's some dips which are not at all worth quitting, because the dip is leading somewhere. So I really love that piece of advice. Yeah, that's why I like The Dip by Seth Godin.
Yeah, I'll add it to my reading list for sure. And most overhyped tech trend?
I think I would say that is very difficult for me to say. I would have loved to say again. I can see valued as well as hyped also. AI valued as well hyped also computer science. But if I kind of have to go deeper and speak about something specific about all this, I say Web 3, Web 3.0. Right. Web 3.0 as I said, because as someone myself are trying to work on NFTs and trying to do something there. I believe Web 3.0 is still to get into practical world, blockchain, and there's some good value there on that side. Right. But I'm yet to see that thing affect in real world. But technically, there's a lot of value, but I don't see a practical value yet in the world.
Right. And moreover, it has taken backstage, right? There was a lot of hype until 2 years ago.
Yes.
Especially during the pandemic time and all, right? Yep. Is AI in education a bane or a blessing?
I would definitely say it's a blessing. For those teachers, see, I always believe every technology will only increase the gap between the good ones and the mediocre ones. The moment every new technology comes in, the good ones will keep becoming better, the bad ones will keep being worse, right? I think AI will do the same thing. I keep telling every teacher. I have actually said in our group that I'll be putting an AI robot teacher by 26, 27. I'll have an AI robot teacher in every classroom. So you want to go to a classroom and just be a teacher because I teach some knowledge, I don't need you there. So I think teachers can find AI a huge blessing if they know how to use it. Like I said, you can create better lessons, you can craft better exercises, assignments. How can I make the class more interactive? AI is a huge blessing. If you want to kind of treat AI as a competitor, it is definitely a bane.
All right, here comes the last one for the second rapid fire round. One mistake that students who are choosing engineering are making.
I don't know, can I call it a mistake or not, but my preference has always been choose institute over branch. A lot of people think of choosing a branch over institution. I believe choose institution over a branch. Particularly for a vast majority of the crowd out there, after 12th, who do not really have a very clear passion, very clear thing, it works better if you can choose an institution over a branch. Most of them these days do what? They go because I want to go computer science, I want to go AI, I want to go aeronautical, etc. I have no problem with you taking a specific branch, but if you have a passion there and you have done some work up till that age to kind of prove that you have an energy there. Yeah. Today morning I had a call from a student, not engineering stack, but the other stack, law stack, someone wants to do. I always say, if you're at crossroads, you're not clear what to do, always try and go to the best possible institution, because that's where you get the network, that's where you get the exposure, that's where you get the learning and stuff. If you're very particular, hey, I want to do this only, I think there's a difference between passion and jiddi, as I call it. Just because I heard aerospace 4 times, I'll keep talking about it. Just because a lot of people said, that is not going to work. In fact, that is not going to work. Your passion has to kind of be seen. A lot of people who say I'm passionate about something, I ask 3-4 simple questions. I ask, show me what you have done, or what did you learn? You succeeded, great. What? Show me. You failed, even great. Tell me what did you learn. I think these small things will matter a lot. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's flip back to the mainstream. What will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
You mean in general? No, I think the big thing that going with all this thing that's happening is, whether it's engineering or someone who is in arts or someone who is in commerce, any field, I think the future is all multidisciplinary. Because what happens is, specialists are going to kind of find it a little difficult. It's all going to be about generalists. So people, you want to, whichever discipline, whichever field of study you get into, try to acquire multidisciplinary approach, multidisciplinary skill set. I think that will do a lot of good. That's what I would say.
Okay, excellent. So, Naresh, we have spoken about the prevailing problems in the engineering education and some of the problems that are existing today, right? So, how you guys are trying to tackle this through Ganville Academy?
No, I think in one of the few things, like Naveen, when we started Abhyas and Ganville, we never were into IIT training and stuff. We were focused more on CLAT and IP MAT. I think the last few years after my team has taken over IIT training and stuff, the first thing I asked is, what can we do that is actually better? Don't just coach them for an IIT or NIT exam. Right? People make it, some people don't. What I found is, a lot of people in these 2 years, from 15 to 17, that could have been a precious 2 years, they spend all the energies, all their mind on just going to kind of ace one exam. Instead, at Ganville Academy, what we do very interestingly is, all our MPC, PCM students, we ensure that they get AI basics, they get Python basics. We actually certify them in Python and AI, so that tomorrow, whichever discipline they take computer science, they take AI itself, they take mechanical, any discipline they get into, the most important thing is, I'm actually getting them ready for the multidisciplinary approach that I just said. I'm getting them ready for acquiring multiple skill sets I'm getting them ready to understand how the real world works. I think that is where we are trying to, Gyanville Academy is trying to be different than the mind numbing regular IIT JEE programs out there. That's how we are different.
Excellent. So I wish you and the entire team at Ganville all the best. And Naresh, thank you so much for joining me today. And how is your experience being hosted on TGV after 5 years?
No, I think when you reminded me that I was one of the earliest episodes, third episode, I'm very happy I'm coming to you after 600 episodes. It feels like an eternity. But I'm very happy we are doing it in a studio this time. The kind of people you have interviewed from now and then, I feel great to be back, meeting a friend and but it's not just friend. I'm meeting Naveen. I'm able to kind of understand so much. The kind of people whom you have interacted with, the kind of learnings you have had. I really enjoyed being back on TGV, and I hope it made some sense for all the TGV audience too.
Absolutely. It will definitely add a lot of value. So thank you once again and looking forward to hosting you again in future. All right. So friends, that was our episode with Naresh Dubbudu. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV. So spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you have been growing. All right. So now it's time for us to cruise into the trivia segment. So today's trivia is about eye-opening facts about engineering education. And here comes the first fact. Most engineering curricula still ignore real-world problem solving. I think Naresh has mentioned briefly about that. And despite the buzz around innovation as well as the startups, many engineering programs worldwide still focus on outdated syllabi, often prioritizing rote learning and theoretical exams over experiential project-based learning. And in contrast, real-world engineering demands interdisciplinary thinking. I think we have covered this as part of the conversation with Naresh. And apart from that, communication is very, very important. Systems thinking and system-level problem solving and skills that are not typically emphasized in the classroom. And if you talk about some metrics related to India, in 2022, AICTE, All India Council for Technical Education, has done a survey, and it is found that over 60% of Indian engineering grads lacked problem solving and design thinking skills when entering the workforce. That's why they were not able to really get into their dream jobs. Talking about the second problem or the second fact is non-computer science streams are becoming obsolete. Right, we have seen electronics and communication used to be one of the top discipline during our time, but today not many institutions are also really venturing into that, and there is a dearth of faculty members, and they're trying to cut down the number of seats, so on and so forth. And there is a growing perception, right, in the industry that computer science is the only valuable stream. Again, in fact, Naresh has busted the myth around that, right? So this is actually overcrowding the CS program and neglected core disciplines like electronics and communication, electronics and engineering, mechanical, civil, and other fields. And fields like artificial intelligence, robotics, as well as Internet of Things, right? They require strong foundational knowledge because these are all coming from the traditional disciplines, and just that they're getting augmented with computing and data skills. And many top research and development labs are now seeking mechanical engineers who can code, right? And civil engineers who understand geospatial data, which means data storytelling is also another important thing. Kind of a skill which is rarely blend in traditional academic silos. So folks, my advice to you is before you think about a particular branch or something, as Naresh said, I think you have to focus on the institute and most importantly, acquire those skills which are going to complement you so that you become a better individual and you become a better workforce in future. In terms of how you can become a better engineer, that should be our thought process. Adding skills which are non-replaceable, especially by the machines. So those are the skills that are going to stay with you, and most importantly, focus on transferable skills also, which means if you want to shift from one domain to another domain, transferable skills are going to help you a lot. So this is all I wanted to discuss today as part of Trivia. So folks, thank you once again for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So until next time, take care. Love you all. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Bye-bye.